So, we talk about two types of bodhicitta. If you remember that we talk about the absolute bodhicitta and then the relative bodhicitta. And if you remember, we said that absolute bodhicitta is not a real bodhicitta. Relative bodhicitta is the real bodhicitta. Even though absolute bodhicitta is called a bodhicitta, but it's not real bodhicitta. It's called absolute only because the object of the bodhicitta, absolute bodhicitta, the object of the absolute bodhicitta is emptiness, and emptiness is the absolute truth. So therefore, it's called the absolute bodhicitta, but it's not a real bodhicitta because a real bodhicitta is the intention to become enlightened, to become a fully enlightened Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. So absolute bodhicitta is actually attained through the power of meditation and does not depend on any rituals or any vows or etc. So while if you meditate and if you are able to directly perceive the emptiness, the ultimate truth, then you will have the ultimate bodhicitta or the absolute bodhicitta. So when we say train on the bodhicitta or the taking vows of the bodhicitta, we are talking about taking vows of the relative bodhicitta. So in order to to generate the relative bodhicitta or to generate the vows, to take the vows to generate the relative bodhicitta, we have to, there is a certain ritual that you can follow. So, of course, at the very first time you take a bodhicitta vow, you have to take it from a certain teacher, a guru, uh, from a master. But after the first time, then you can actually take the bodhicitta vow as many as you like every day or every month or every day, as many as you like. You can take it without a teacher present. Oh yeah. So let's say you have already taken the bodhicitta vow from a teacher one time already. So now you want to take the bodhicitta at your home on your own. So how we do that is at your home you must have an altar or some image of a Buddha or something like that. So onto that image, you can make an offering, like the seven water bowl offering, or maybe just a water or fruit or whatever offering that we can afford. You make those arrangement of the offerings, and then decorate your house with light or with flowers, like that. Basically uh, make your house look special, like a festival. Uh, so that is what you have to do like physically do in your house. If you cannot do that, that's also okay. You don't really necessarily have to do that. This is something that we usually do if we should. If you cannot, that's also okay. So the most important part is now we will go to the not we will go from the physical to the visual, to the mental. So now what we actually have to do is visually you have to mentally you have to visualize all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas and your guru and all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas that were invited in the front of you, in the sky in front of you, in the space in front of you. They all come here to witness you taking the Bodhisattva's vow. So in front of all this great assembly of the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas, you make the vow that you will take the Bodhisattva vow like that. So what you are thinking, how you generate the bodhicitta vow is that so there's a line in English. It's on page number 220. So that is the second. It's the third paragraph of all the countless living creatures throughout the vast reaches of the universe. So that one. So basically, what you are thinking is all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas in front of me. Please bear witness to my to me taking the Bodhisattva's vow. And now today I'm here taking the Bodhisattva vow because I look at the samsara. I know the condition of samsara. Samsara is very full of suffering and pain and all that. And I want to liberate myself. I want to be free from samsara. And then the only way to be fully free from samsara is to become a Buddha. Uh, I mean, to be free from samsara without any pain, I can be a arhat. I can be a foe destroyer, an Arhat. But if I look carefully, I see that I can see that all the sentient beings who have been my mother and my father and my, because I have all the sentient beings, they have, because I have taken so many lives in the past, like I have had because the life in samsara is very long. It's limitless. So in my past life, there have been the sentient beings have been my mother, my parent, my loved one, like that, and all the other sentient beings are still stuck in samsara. And for me to get out of uh the samsara just by myself, just just attain the nirvana, just become an arahat and leave all sentient beings behind, is very selfish of me. So what I have to do is I will not be satisfied by just becoming an arahat, even though I will not have any pain myself. I still don't have the sufficient tools to help all the sentient beings if I remain as an arahat. So I need to even after I become an arahat, I gain the nirvana. I still have to have the full enlightenment of a Buddhahood. Otherwise, I will not be able to help all those mother sentient beings who has been so careful, who has taken care of me, who loved me, who really look after me all my previous lives. So if I just free myself and leave other sentient beings behind like that, then I'm a very selfish person. So in order to take care of all sentient beings, I will become the Buddha. So when you make the full commitment that I will become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, like we just did with the Sangye Chodam Soge Chonamda, we just did that. So if we like with full commitment, with very deep commitment, if you make this vow that we will become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings, then at that very moment, you actually generate the bodhicitta's vow. So if your commitment is like strong enough, then this can turn into the bodhicitta itself. But right now, it's just a vow. It's just a aspirational prayer. So this is how you take the bodhicitta's vow
Yeah.
like that. So in order to help you with your aspiration with your vow, so there are a few lines that you can recite. It's on the same page, page 220 to 20. It says, "Oh, led astray by myriad appearances like reflections of the moon in water, beings wander in the endless chain of samsara. To bring them rest in the radiant space of awareness, with the four boundless qualities, I arouse bodhicitta." So you can say this line, or the other line, so the next line which comes after this. This one actually we do every time we at the end of our class we have this prayer. That one. So in English it goes like this: May bodhicitta, precious and sublime, arise where it has not yet come to be, and where it has arisen, may it never fail, but grow and flourish ever more and more. So you can recite while you are meditating, while you are taking the bodhicitta vow, you can actually recite these lines. The first line or the second line, um, you can keep repeating that line. And
Yeah.
okay. So how many times you recite this one? So you can recite three, seven, anytime. But most of the time, if you like, because this is a practice, so you recite this unless something really moves in your heart. So you keep reciting maybe 100 times, maybe 10 times. Sometimes your heart starts to move with just one repetition. You feel something in your heart. Then that's one time is okay. But sometimes you recite it like 10 times, still not much difference. So you can try uh, until something really moves in your heart like that. So there's no set number like, or you have to do it 10 times, three times like that. There's no set number. But you just do it unless something really moves in your heart.
Yeah.
So once you take the once after you take the bodhicitta's vow, and then you are satisfied with your practice, then in order to do the dedication, you can recite the following lines. So that line is so that is the third quotation here, which is the emulating the hero Manjushri, Samandabhadra, and all those others with knowledge. I too make a perfect dedication of all the actions that are positive. So this is a very common dedication prayer that we recite, and that is prevalent among all the Buddhist tradition in Tibetan Buddhism. Whether you're from different tradition like Sakya Nyingma, Kagyu Gelugpa, we all recite this. The May Bodhicitta precious and sublime arise, where it has that line, as well as the one emulating the hero Manjushri Samandabhadra. So the second line and the third line is something very common it is prevalent in all Tibetan Buddhist practices. And so basically, uh, it will be wonderful if you could memorize those lines if it is available in your language, whether it's Vietnamese, Chinese, English. So if you memorize those lines, and whenever you do your practices, you can recite the first line, and once you are done with this your practice, you can recite the last line, emulating the hero Manjushri Saman Bhatwa like that, and that will be very good to dedicate your merits. So, there's a little bit of explanation here in the book about the importance of bodhicitta. So I will explain that as well. So here it says that bodhicitta is the essence of all the 84,000 volumes of teaching made by Lord Buddha. And that is true. So it is also true that all the other teachings, whether it's the practice on the six perfections, whether it's perfection, it's on the practice of accumulating merit, purification of our negativity, defilements, meditation of this and that, whatever practice we do, reciting mantra and all this, the main purpose is uh, to become a Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. And in order to become a Buddha, we cannot become a Buddha unless we have the bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is the soul. Even though in Buddhism we don't talk about soul, but just for a lack of better word, bodhicitta is like the soul of Buddhist practices, Buddhism, the Dharma. So in order to become a Buddha, in order to um, accomplish your practice, one needs to have the bodhicitta. And so bodhicitta is is the most important practice we need. So therefore the our goal is to become a Buddha. But when we become a Buddha, our body, everything changes. The only thing that goes from here to the Buddhahood is our mind. And our mind, when we train ourselves in the bodhicitta, and bodhicitta is what transforms into the Buddhahood. So therefore, bodhicitta, in that understanding, you can say bodhicitta is no different from Buddhahood. Uh, so for example, if you have a child who after 30, so right now we are all adults here. Then if you go back like 20 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, we were much younger, much smaller kids, like that. And if you go that time, that person and right now, there has been a lot of evolution, but then the continuum of the same person is there. So we will say, oh, that kid has now become an adult. That child has now become an adult. That girl has now become a woman, has become a mother, has become a grandmother, like that. So similarly, bodhicitta is the one thing that goes from our uh, ordinary life or from this ordinary state of mind to the Buddhahood. So it goes from here to there. So therefore, bodhicitta is the main practice that all the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas in the past has done too. So therefore, here it is um, um, the talking about the qualities, the importance, the preciousness of the bodhicitta, like that. And so one of the great teachers, great masters who brought the practice of bodhicitta into Tibet is Master Atisha. And so Atisha also talks a great deal about the importance of bodhicitta, which I will relate after. So it is also said that whatever practice you do as a samsaric individual, as an individual in samsara, even though we do a lot of dharma practices, most of the dharma practices we do it with selfish intention. Selfish meaning just for myself. And so therefore, even if we supposedly do a very like great tantric practices, even though the tantric practice ritual itself is a very important, it's a very profound practice. But because our mind is deluded with selfishness, so therefore the practice um, doesn't really have the same efficacy. It's not effective enough. But once we practice bodhicitta, then we have the other sentient beings in our mind. We have the Buddhahood in our mind, and so therefore this practice becomes the direct cause for us to have Buddhahood in the future, like that. Um, so it's important. So here in the book also says that, but usually our teachers always say, whatever Dharma practice you are doing, any practice, big or small, whether it's offering a mandala, reciting a mantra, doing some very profound tantric practice, whatever you are doing, always make sure that you have bodhicitta or you have the vows of the bodhicitta. You take the bodhicitta vow. If you don't have the genuine bodhicitta, make sure that you take the bodhicitta vow like that. And then whatever small practice you may do, that practice will become such a bring such a great effect. Will have such a big impact in your life, in our future lives in order for us to become a Buddha, etc. like that. So therefore, bodhicitta is to be mindful of this. Oh yes. So as you know, Atisha is a great master, very yeah. And then Atisha himself has so many teachers. He has about 30 something teachers of his own. And all those teachers, he received simple things like grammar and like different, very simple, simple learnings. But a lot of the teachers were, he learned also like profound tantric initiations, empowerment, like very important and profound teachings too. But all the teachers that Atisha, whenever he mentions his teacher, he would always like fold his hand like this by his heart. Whenever he's mentioning the name of his this teacher, that teacher, he always very grateful and remembering their kindness. He will always hold his hand like this to the heart. And then only one teacher when that his name is Lord Suvarnadvipa. So basically, when in Tibetan we call him Lama Selingpa. So I think he's from. They say that he's from that his teacher, that teacher Lama Selingpa or Lord Suvarnadvipa, he's from Indonesia, in today's Indonesia. So he's from somewhere from that country. So Lama Selingpa, whenever he mentioned this teacher, he would always put his hand on his head like this. So instead of like putting him down, all the other teachers, all the other 30 something teacher, whenever he mentioned the name, he would put his hand by the heart. But when he mentioned the name of Lama Selingpa or Lord Suvarnadvipa, he would always put his hand um, on his head like that. And then his disciples, his students asked, why you do that? Uh, why you do that? Why you differentiate between your teachers? Aren't all your teachers good, great teachers? Aren't they kind? Aren't they all wise like that? And then Adisha said, yes, it's true. As far as the qualities, spiritual qualities of our teachers are concerned, all the teachers are same. They're all enlightened beings. They're all great masters of wisdom and all that. But as far as the kindness of the teachers are concerned, this teacher has been the most kindest for me because he actually gave me the instructions on how to develop bodhicitta. So therefore, he is the most kindest teacher, and therefore he is the most special one for me. Like that. Yeah. So, as you know, Aditya is a great master himself. So, according to all the Dharma texts, Adisha is actually has when it comes to the knowledge, Adisha has more knowledge than Lama Selingpa, his teacher. Uh, and So Atisha, even before meeting Lama Selingpa, he was already a great scholar in the Nalanda University, so which is like the top university in all of not just India, but I think in the world also. It's a very famous, very important learning center. Like people from all parts of the world actually come to learn in Nalanda at that time. So he was a professor. He was a great master, not only in Nalanda but also another monastery called Vikramashila. So basically, he's a great professor of two great universities of his time. And not only that, but he also has a lot of other tantric empowerments and all this. He was also born to a king, so he was of royal blood, and he has a lot of knowledge, everything. So status wise, knowledge wise, everything. Actually, his qualifications are actually greater than that of Lama Selingpa. Um, but then so for a long time, even though Adisha was a great scholar and very highly respected everything, he always feel like there's something missing in him. And then when for the first time, he heard the name of Lama Silingpa, there was so much tenderness in his heart. He immediately started crying for no reason, and then he really wanted to see this teacher. Adisha lived in India. Then he went all the way the to Indonesia to receive the teaching. Um, I think today is Jakarta, I think. So somewhere, so in Indonesia. So he went to receive the teaching from Lama Selingpa in order to get the instructions on how to develop the bodhicitta. Even though he's such a great scholar himself, he know that without bodhicitta, then we cannot do anything. So in order to develop bodhicitta, he went to this Lama Selingpa, whose knowledge is actually minimal if you just measure the knowledge itself, the knowledge and the qualification itself. Lama Selingpa's qualifications are actually lower than that of Adisha. But Adisha still, in order to receive the bodhicitta, because he received the bodhicitta instruction from Lama Selingpa, that's why Lama Selingpa is the most important teacher of all the great masters that Adisha has. Those who give him like tantric instruction, this and that, the views on emptiness and everything. But his most important teacher, his closest teacher, was not the ones who gave the empowerment or emptiness, this like that, but the one who gave him the understanding of Bodhicitta, Lama Selingpa, become his main closest like root guru, like that. So this is the training. This is so according to Lama uh, Master Atisha. Like that. This is the short story. I think we will talk about Atisha more and more in the future. But this is a very short account of what Atisha thinks of Lama Selingpa and what Atisha thinks of the Bodhicitta practice and so on and so forth, like that. Now next we will talk on how to. So the next chapter is actually called Training in the Bodhicitta Precepts. And so there are actually it's actually dealt in three stages, which is considering oneself is equal to others, and then exchanging oneself with others, and then taking others as more important than oneself. So you see that if somebody tells us to think of others as more important than yourself, it is very difficult. So we cannot just jump into it right away. We cannot think of others as more important than myself. It's something not natural to us, something we need a lot of training to do so. So first we train by uh, thinking of myself and others as equal, then exchanging my pain with others, and then others' pain with my own, and then thinking of others as more important than oneself. So it's a three step training like that. So the first of which is to think of uh, others and myself is equal. So we will talk about this now. So according to Buddhist teaching, according to the Buddha's teaching, according to the understanding that we have is we live in samsara, we are in pain, we're always suffering. It seems like we are not suffering at some point of time, some point of our life. But then if you are not suffering this morning, you will be suffering in the evening. If you are not suffering evening, you will be suffering in the morning. Basically, suffering continues to come back. Even if you're not suffering right now, you will still keep suffering. Basically, as long as you are in samsara, as long as you are in samsara, suffering continues and continues. And the fact is that you don't want suffering. If you want suffering, then that's the best news because you are in samsara, and that's the best news because you always have suffering. But you don't want suffering, but still you always have suffering. You can never free yourself from suffering. And the reason we cannot free ourselves from suffering is because we are stuck in samsara. And the reason we are stuck in samsara, the reason because without any cause there will be no effect. There's a cause and effecting. So the reason we are stuck in samsara, the effect, the impact, the result, the consequence, which is to be stuck in samsara, comes from one and only one thing, which is our selfish attitude, which is to cling to the self, to think of myself, to think for the me only. So when you look at it from a philosophical point of view, when you look at it from a spiritual point of view, when you look at it from many different angles, you'll find that selfishness to be selfish has no valid reason. Selfish attitude has no valid reason at all. And so this is something that you will find out. So from a philosophical point of view, even though we always, think of me, and I all the time, that me, which we are so stuck with, that everything, everybody in samsara, everybody actually in this room too, we are having conversation, the people who are listening, attending to this class, as well as the one who's speaking, myself. We're always thinking about me like that. But because we think of me, and then that's how we teach, we talk, we converse, and the food that we eat, the breathe that we do, everything we do for me. Now that if we, from a philosophical point of view, if we analyze where that me is, where that I is, then uh, of course we know that the body is not me. Deep inside, we will dig within your body. You will never find the me. And then if you okay, so let's say the physical is not me, but let's say the mental, my mind is me. Then you will find that at your mind, you have your anger, you have your love, your compassion, the positive mind and the negative mind. Both are my uh, my part. Like I have a time when I can do positive things. I have a time when I can do negative things. So basically, positive mind and negative mind are also part of me, but they're not like me. Uh, So if you look at where that me is, where that I is, where I'm being so selfish. So where that self is, who is that self? The positive thought is not me, not the self. The negative thought is not me, not the self. And so if they are not both me, then where is the me? Where is the self? If you look at it from a philosophical point of view, you will never find where that me is. But still, uh, without observation, without observing, we always cling so much to this me. Everything I do it for me or my loved ones, my parents, my relatives. Because my relative, my loved one, my husband, my wife, my brother, my sister, my daughter, they all come from me. Without me, there would be no my. So my comes from me. And the me, if you look at it from a philosophical point of view, you will not find that me which is standing out on its own like that. But still, we are so stuck with that me. Mm, So, usually these can be explained for days and days, but I'll just make it very short because to spare time. This is a philosophical understanding. Also, if you look at it from a spiritual point of view, also, even though we become so selfish now we're not looking at it from a philosophical point of view. We look at it from a spiritual point of view. If you we the reality is that we always stuck with our selfish attitude, that me like that. Then if you look at it, everything that you are uh, is because of others. Because of others, you have your food, your clothes, your body, everything. Your body, which you think is very much your own. That's your body. My body is my own. My clothes, let's say the clothes, the house, the car, everything provided by everybody else. But my body, this is my body. It's mine. If you think carefully, actually, the creation of this body comes from other people. Basically your father and your mother. So who created this body? So it's not yours. It's their body. It's a part of their body, which become yours, which you call your own body. Actually, it is the body parts of your father and your mother, like that. And after you're being born, since you were born until now, for the last 30 years, last 40 years, last 50 years, every day you've been eating food. If you don't eat food, you will not survive. You will die. So your body, which is a result that you have right now, is the result of all the food that you have taken, all the sustenance, all the care that you have had from people around you. So basically, even though there's, so not from a philosophical point of view, but from a spiritual point of view, you may say okay, there is a self, but that self is not a standalone self. It cannot exist or it cannot survive on its own. That self needs for its survival. So therefore, if you look at the self and others, self becomes just one entity, and others becomes like 1,000 innumerable. So therefore, when you weigh the two, self is very light. Self is very light, but others it become very heavy. So in this understanding, there's no way you can neglect, you can ignore the others for the sake of self, like that. So by considering these things, you can then train yourself to think of yourself and others as equal. Mm. Even though equal is not the right word because others are more important, but right now you're not capable of training this. So first, instead of saying others are more important, you train yourself to think a little bit more for others. So think for others a little bit more and think of yours at the very least, think of others as equal to you. If you cannot think of others as more important than you, first we start by thinking others as equal to you, like that. So thinking like this, then also, sometimes we human beings, because we are very intelligent, we are very smart. So then we keep saying like, okay, I'm selfish. That's true, right? But it's not just me. Everybody else is also selfish. Uh, so it's not just me who's being selfish. He is selfish. She is selfish. They are all selfish. So if I don't be selfish, then I cannot survive in this world. How can I survive? So that's a very logical question that we have. So the thing is, they have no option because they don't have they didn't embrace the Dharma. They didn't understand the Dharma. They don't know the Bodhicitta practice. They don't know how to do all these things. So therefore, they are selfish and they are still in ignorance. That's understandable. But you are different. You are different because you have the teachings. You have embraced the Buddha's teaching. You were able to read, able to listen, able to study all this, and you know that being selfish is wrong. As long as we are stuck in samsara, then we always have suffering. We need to get out of some and all this. We know all of that. And despite knowing all that, and despite knowing that the selfish attitude is the root cause for all our suffering, but if we still get stuck there, if we still do the same, if we still repeat the same mistake, then we are actually not being intelligent. We are being very stupid. So they say, there's a saying that mm, to make a mistake for the first time is understandable because we are all human beings. We always make mistake. But if you repeatedly make the mistake, that is not a human thing. It's actually means you are very stupid. So if we after understanding, after finding the cause, after embracing the Dharma, after knowing all these things, if we still get stuck here, then that's being very stupid. We're not able to utilize the human intelligence, even though human beings have this very high potential to understand things, to maneuver things, do all these things. We are not able to utilize that. So therefore, others may be selfish, but because they have not embraced Dharma, we have an advantage. We should get away from being selfish. Even though others may be like that, that is because of their weakness. That's okay. But because we understand the Dharma, we should not be doing that. Like if we do the same mistake the others are doing, then it will be it will be unending suffering for everybody. For example, when there is a traffic jam, and you know that there's a traffic jam, and people are stuck, and because in all, everybody during a traffic jam, everybody wants to get to the destination soon. But if you instead of instead of waiting in the line, if you jump the line, and then the traffic will become more and more congested, more hours. But rather, if you just wait for the traffic to flow, it may be slow, but slowly and slowly it will just go, and then you can get to your destination in more time as well. So, normally when we go to the city during the traffic jams, we see a lot of this example of how people in samsara are suffering and how they are not able to get out of like that. So basically, thinking all these things, we can contemplate on the importance of seeing others and yourself as equal. Equal means, of course, we are not same. You are different. I'm different. We are both different. Equal means I wish the same as you do. I want to be happy. You have to be able to see. There are three trainings. The first training is to look at yourself and others equal. The second is to exchange your suffering with your joyfulness with other suffering. And the last one is to think of others as more important than yourself. So the next two training we will do in our next class. So today we will conclude here.
Yeah.
So we will conclude with equal to oneself and others as equal. This will conclude. I think we should. So there's one line I want to. So on the first training, considering others as equal to oneself, the last line there's one story of someone called Trungpa Sinachin. It's actually the last paragraph of the. So it's before the exchanging oneself and others. There's one man called Trungpa Sinachin who asked Patamba Sangye for an instruction. So he asked a complete instruction. So he wants the instruction that encompasses everything, but in one sentence. So Trungpa Sinachin, he is a local chief, local leader, and he's Patamba Sangye. So Patamba Sangye is a great yogi from India who came to Tibet. So Patamba Sangye, Trungpa Sinachin, the local chief, he went to Patamba Sangye and he asked him the question, and he asked him for an instruction, a complete instruction, an instruction that deals or encompasses every possible practices, but in only one sentence. So he wants to, a very short practice, a very great practice in a very short manner, very simple, right? And then Patamba Sangye's response was that whatever you want, others also want the same. So act on that. So that is his instruction. So that is his the teaching. His one sentence teaching to the local chief was that what he's saying is whatever you want suffering? No, you don't want suffering. You don't want joy? Yes, you want joy. So you don't want suffering, you want happiness. So this is same with everybody else. So if you do it accordingly, just be aware, just be aware of the fact that others also want the same thing as you want. Others also don't want the same thing you don't want. If you are aware of that and if you act on that, then your life will be a virtuous life, and then you will be it'll be a positive life. So Patamba Sangye gave this single sentence advice to the leader.
Yeah. Rinpoche today there are some new people, there are new couple, they are new marriage, so they would like to request Rinpoche to give the oral transmission of the medicine Buddha mantra and Chenric mantra so that they can practice at home life. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay, I will do it just now.
Yes, please.
So first, I will give the Chenric. So first, I will give the oral transmission of the Chenric Om Mani Padme Hum. Yeah.
Vị chắp tay ạ.
So you repeat after me 3 times the mantra. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Quý vị lặp lại theo lời thầy 3 lần. Om Mani Padme Hum.
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 Om
Om Mani
Mani
Padme
Padme
Om Mani
Hum.
Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Mani Padme Hum.
Okay. So this is
Om
the
Mani Padme Hum.
Om Mani Padme Hum.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Done.
Vâng.
Just 3 times. Sorry.
3 lần được rồi ạ.
So
Vâng.
this is the mantra of compassion.
Vâng, đấy là câu
And also important is not only recite the mantra, but also think about bodhicitta and compassion. Then this mantra will become more effective. Yep. Next is we will do the medicine Buddha mantra. Teatha.
Yatha.
Tayatha.
Om.
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 Bekanze.
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 Maha Bekanze.
Maha
Maha
Bekanze.
Bekanze.
Ranza.
Ratza.
Tamungate.
Samugate.
Soha.
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 Teatha.
Tayatha.
Yatha.
Om Bekanze.
Om Bekanze.
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 Maha Bekanze.
Maha Bekanze.
Maha Bekanze.
Bekanze. Ranza.
Bekanze.
Raza.
Tamungate. Soha.
Samugate. Soha.
Soha.
Teatha.
Tayatha.
Yatha.
Om Bekanze.
Om
Om
Bekanze.
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 Maha Bekanze.
Maha
Maha
Bekanze.
Bekanze.
Ranza.
Raza.
Raza.
Tamungate.
Samugate.
Samugate.
Soha.
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 Oh yeah. Then maybe one mantra is the wisdom mantra is good. Wisdom. Om.
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 Arapaza.
Arapacha.
Arabacha.
Nadi.
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 Om.
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 Arapaza.
Arapacha.
Arabacha.
Nadi.
Nadi.
Om Arapaza.
Om
Om
Arapacha.
Arabacha.
Nadi.
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 Yeah. And then maybe the last one, I give you the mantra of Tara. This
Vâng.
is good for protection. Okay. Om Tare.
Om Tare.
Tare.
Tu.
Om Tare.
Om Tare.
Om Tare.
Tutare.
Tu Tare.
Ture.
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 Soha.
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 Om Tare.
Om Tare.
Tare.
Tutare.
Tu Tare.
Tare.
Ture. Soha.
Ture.
Ture.
Soha.
Soha.
Om Tare.
Om Tare.
Om Tare.
Tutare.
Tu Tare.
Tare.
Ture. Soha.
Ture. Soha.
Ture. Soha.
Oh yeah. So this is good for protection. Okay. So medicine Buddha is for healing. If you are sick, Manjushri for wisdom to gain intelligence like that, and Tara for protection like that, and then to have a good heart, you have the the genetic. Also important to have a good life. You need a lot of money. So to give the wealth mantra of the Zabala.
Yeah. Nhưng mà một điều nữa thầy cũng suýt quên mất, đấy là chúng ta cũng cần phải có tiền, cần phải có sự thịnh vượng. Đấy là Đức Phật Tài Bảo Zambala.
Yeah. Thank you.
Om
Om
Zambala
Zambala
Zambala.
Zalendai Soha
Zalendaze Soha.
Zalendaze. Soha.
So Om Zambala
Om
Om
Zambala
Zambala.
Zalendai Soha
Zalendaze
Zalendaya Soha.
Om Zambala
Om
Om
Zambala
Zambala.
Zalendai Soha.
Zalendaze Soha.
Zalendaya Soha.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's all of the mantras, and then I give you blessing for congratulations and blessing for your marriage. Okay, and now we will do the dedication for the class. Lama Sangye Doa Mali Sala Sho Chanjo Semjo Rembo Maje Yu Ji Keva Nyamba Meba One Gondo Bewa Sho
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bạn A20 có nhắn rằng là thầy tiếp tục giảng chủ đề này. Bạn A20 là bạn nào